I disagree. You don't need to make a game in order to understand how a MOBA works. You just need to play a lot of them.
Well, here's what I was saying. This is why it pisses me off. And maybe if I didn't have experience with Smite, I wouldn't get as mad. But that's what makes me so mad because Smite was not like this when it was in beta.
Well, Smite
strictly focused on. No, it had issues, but they focused on balancing the game. There was constant patches trying to adjust the game and get it right. And once they got it right to a point where they thought it was good, then they put it in release. And now you see new characters are constantly coming out. But when it was in beta, it wasn't a shit ton of characters coming out.
Do you remember how long it took them to balance the game to that point? Like
it was about a year.
Even still, the game had the
Paragon's been out for a year, and they just released a new map. It's a completely different game. So
the game hasn't been out for a year, has it?
Yeah, it came out. It came out 2016, didn't it?
No, it came out at the end. It came out. That was the open. That was the beta of it, the beginning of the beta.
the early access. And what I'm saying is, I thought that was their foundation, and they were going to build upon it, and they were at some point. And then at the end of 2016, they was like, "Nah, we're going to totally change the game with Monolith."
Well, you already know the situation they were put into. Like, that's a fundamental change. Like, you gotta think of it like this. They basically changed the entire core. The core of the game is different. Like, you can't tell me the game you're playing now is the same game you played back in January.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
And I agree to the point that they made a mistake in the design of the core design. Like, there was definitely a mistake in the core design with the travel mode. Like, that was where it's fundamentally was flawed. I'm glad that they addressed that and they were like, all right, yeah, we got to fix this.
I also feel like they focus way too much on game speed opposed to making it a fun balance.
I agree with that. I agree that they're focusing too much on match length over actually like making sure the game fundamentally.
Wow. It just makes me mad because it comes to maybe they realize that they're not intentionally doing it. I'm saying it. Maybe they're oblivious to it, but it comes across to me.
Oblivious.
It comes across to me as they're worried about characters and skins and not actually making the game good, and that's why I'm done with the game for now.
Well, I don't think it's that. I just think it is that you got to think of it like this, right? Like you know how everybody has a role to build the game, right? So what are the artists supposed to do? So while the gameplay designers are trying to figure out how to fix it, right? The artists don't just sit there twiddling their hands. They're just like, all right, well, I guess we're going to work on skins or something else because, we're being paid. We got to make something. So it's like, yeah, while the developing side of like the design of it takes longer because, of course, they have to do an iteration, then you have to test it, then you have to say, does this work or not? No, it doesn't. All right, then we're back to the drawing board trying to figure out how to fix it, which takes longer time. The artists are probably like, oh, yeah, we made 5-10 new skins because we had the time to, and it's like, all right, doesn't take much to implement it. Like to implement a skin into like the Unreal Engine is not a difficult task to do. So it's like, all right, we'll just drop that. That's why to a player's perspective, it looks as if you guys aren't patching the game with like the actual fixes. You're just, you're uploading, you're making skins and shit. And it's like, that's not entirely true. We're working on it, but the time it takes to make like a patch.
They can drop skins, but like they need to drop balancing. Alien brought up a good point in the chat. He said he likes the map. It's just they're taking way too long to balance. This is a beta and there should be constant changes. And like that's the funny part, and that's why the community is so segmented right now between Legacy and Monolith. It's because they take so long between different various balancing patches. People forget that this shit is still in beta. So when a big balancing patch does come out, then the whole community's bitching and moaning. But it's like, nah, this shit is in beta. Like I feel like they're not treating it like a beta.
Yeah.
I mean, they are treating like a beta. Like drastic changes are what they said. I mean, you were there when they said it. Like the game fundamentally changed.
If they were treating it like a beta, their focus wouldn't be to make money.
What do you mean their focus wouldn't be to make money?
There's more skin patches than there are balance patches.
But I just
they can do both. I feel it.
I just explain why. Like it's not
the game gives me brain aneurysms. Okay,
it does.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times when I get mad at a game, it's like it's usually just because I suck, and I can admit that later down the road. But when I'm heated, I'm like, fuck this game. But this game right here, Paragon, it legit has glaring issues, and I refuse to believe it's me, bro. I've never played a game where it made me like, what were you thinking with this?
Look, I'm not trying to take away. But I'm not trying to take away what you're saying. Like, I completely feel where you're coming from, 100%. I'm not disagreeing at all, and I understand your frustration without a doubt. Like, I can see a side, but on the other hand, it's so hard to say. It's like, okay, because I'm working on my own game, and I'm not trying to say it's like you don't know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying is that the time it takes for iterations and patching, it's different. Like like there was a lot of times like when I first went to Epic where I was like, oh, why don't you guys try this, this, and this, and this, right? Because I thought at the time, you know, that stuff would help fix their game. And then they'd come with counterpoints and they'd be like, well, you know, we could try that, but then we'd have this issue, or maybe, you know, I didn't think about another system that could be affected by that. And that's what I think it is. I think that a lot of times we always look at games that like, all you have to do is change this one thing, and then we forget, oh, because we changed this one little thing, it's like a domino effect. And now other things in the I mean, you've seen it, right? Like you've seen it with
And
Paragon,
I could argue
right?
that's why they should be more focused on balance, because everything that you change does matter. And Monolith brought a lot of big changes. Like the the whole Chimera jumping every 2 seconds. Like, what is going on with that, bro?
Right. I mean, we saw that early on. We were like, "Oh, this nigga is jumping like hella quick." But I guess like I don't know. Like, what do you expect them to like release like a patch? Like, how long do you think it could take? In your just opinion, how long?
In my opinion, if you could put out a character every 3 weeks, you could put out a balance patch every 3 weeks, and they don't do that.
But don't they do that though? Like,
no, they do.
Maybe not every 3 weeks.
No, they do not.
Because I'm pretty sure if I check the patch notes,
it's like every month and a half, every 2 months, bro.
Like, don't quote me on this, but I'm almost sure every patch, every one out of 3 patches, one has been like a balance.
There'll be some balance, but it
may not be what you like.
It'll be shit that doesn't even matter. Like the last one that they did, they nerfed fucking what was it? What's the name?
Like Steel got nerfed.
Steel's ult. Who was complaining about Steel's ult? Like it was one of those things. Like
the entire community,
there was nothing wrong with him. I was like, what are you doing?
Was it a little janky? I guess, yeah.
Yeah, the animation. Yeah, they could have fixed the animation. But as far as like the power and the actual move, it's like what? It's one of those things. It's one of those things where I look at Paragon as like the cousin that you grew up with and you love, but then they end up getting pregnant. It's like, damn, you fucked up, bro.
Like, I don't know. It may be a placebo effect. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But, like, I'm looking at the Paragon website, and I'm looking at the timing they're patching stuff. And it doesn't seem like they're not patching stuff fast enough. Like, it's going from, like, October the 24th. Like, okay, I'll start when Countess came out, right? So Countess came out, what, October the 3rd? Or, no, the 24th. She came out on the 24th, right? Then from there, on the 31st, they did new skins, weekly card pack, and then the bug fixes, which is like what you're saying. Like, these just skins.
I fucking hate this nigga.
November the 7th, they did new skins, new player onboarding, which was like what you were recommending, and death cam. Then the next patch was the actual Monolith up, which was huge. That was a whole fix December the 1st. So that was like a month later.
Bro, why are you saying sorry?
Then the 12th was the card crafting, the loot crates, and then they gave a free skin away, which is free. Like, thanks, Epic. And then January the 9th, then it was
I hear a lot about bug fixes,
the card, and the bud fixes. Then the release notes.
I hear a lot about bug fixes. I don't hear nothing about it. Okay, there we go. Adjustments. Well, okay, finally, 6 months later.
I think we need.
It wasn't 6 months later. It was only the matter of a month.
Just giving YouTube stream.
I don't know, man.
I think the 2 things that need to be fixed.
I agree. I agree. They
towers.
Do
Those are the top tier priorities.
I agree. I
can understand the towers being more so harder to fix, but come on, like Gravestone, that nerf was stupid.
I feel like because it's a new, I feel like because MOBAs are so competitive, and I don't want this game to fail. Their priority should be making the game as good as possible. Because at the end of the day, like a MOBA is only going to go as far as its community. These type of games are very community driven, and I like you see it in the Reddit, you see it on Twitter. Like people are incredibly frustrated in the game. It's like it just comes across as they're not listening. Like I said, it's coming from a place low. Like I don't want.
No, I understand. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to like just pick and just to understand. But so, I guess what I'm asking is, what I'm saying is, this is just what I think.
Nigga, I said attack. What the fuck, bro?
Theory, I think, and you could tell me if you feel like
kill this nigga, bro.
Do you feel like as if what they're doing is right now they're adding the meat to the bones right now, and then like they'll go do surgery and basically fix like a broken bone, which would be like the character adjustment. Like, do you feel like that's what they're doing, and you feel like it should be instead fix the bone and then put the meat on it? Because like I agree with, like, I think like what they're doing is, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to add the content, the meat that the game was missing early on, like all the heroes and all the additional stuff. And then I think like when they hit that sweet spot where there's like enough heroes, like, you know, balancing and counterbalancing each other, then they're gonna be like, all right, now let's focus.
This is why I keep bringing up Smite, and this is why I feel like they're doing it ass backwards. If you keep adding new characters to the roster, you're further imbalancing the game that was never balanced in the first place. So I feel like
but at the same time, remember we talked
maybe
about
because I'm not a developer. Maybe because I'm not a developer, I look at it as I would rather have an 10-man roster, have it as balanced as possible, and then when I add the new character, I only have to focus on how he affects the game as a whole, versus having to focus on 12 characters as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
Like what Overwatch is, where it's like when a new hero comes out, how he or she, like how Ana affected the meta and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I can agree with that. So, do you feel like it's? I guess what I'm trying to understand is like, do you still agree that a problem Paragon needs to address is new heroes to counter these?
Oh, absolutely.